Rosamond Leacock Martin.
Wonderful. And what is your hometown?
Well, I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised, and I've been living here not half of my life yet, but I'm getting there. I've been here in Maryland for the last 20, oh God, that's scary. Last about 20, almost 26 years, I think, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I love Maryland. I like it. I've been to Brooklyn too. What part of Brooklyn?
Park Slope, Brooklyn, which is downtown.
Nice.
In fact, if you want it, what's the new stadium now? We live 5 blocks away from where the Nets are playing now.
Is it the Barclays
Barclays.
Center?
Yeah, Barclays Center.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. So, could you name one scripture that you really held on to throughout this very challenging time?
I heard this scripture back in 1983, I believe. Dennis Byrd used to play for the Jets. I'm not a Jets fan, so Giants fan. But he got a stinger in one of his games. He and one of his teammates clashed their helmets together, and he fell, couldn't move. Doctors told him he'll never walk again. And I think it was probably like a week or a couple of weeks later, he came out and had a press conference, and he mentioned a verse, Romans 8:18, that says, "For I reckon that the suffering of this present time cannot be compared with the glory that shall be revealed in us." And at that time, he walked into the news conference when they told him he would not be able to walk. And that always stuck with me. And I said, never knew that I would be using it all these years later. So that's one of my main verses.
That's a really good one. I saw that happening, walking into that. I'm sure everybody was just like, wow.
Yeah. Impressive, like really impressive.
Very.
And I think his faith is what really captured and made that verse stick with me. So yeah.
I'm sure it did.
Mm-hmm.
How has, actually let me go back. What is your story? What is your testimony? What brings you here today?
Well, back in November of last year, I had a girlfriend shoot with Jackie. I told her I wanted to have all the girlfriends who supported me through this. I wanted to take a girlfriend shoot, so it was 5 of us. It was supposed to be 9, but some people, due to the death of their mother, could not be here. So we did a girlfriend shoot, and Jackie showed me the calendar, and she was like, because Jackie's been through the whole journey with me before. When I got diagnosed, I came to her to take pictures in case I lost my hair. And so she was like, if you lose it, come back, I'm going to do a shot with you with no hair. Thankfully, I never lost my hair. She showed me the calendar, and I really liked the concept, and she told me, go ahead and, here's the link, apply. I think your story's a good one. My story basically is March 1st of 2011. I got a call from the doctor who did a biopsy. I was going for regular breast exams, and since they claimed this thing, you have dense breasts, whatever that means, they said come every 6 months. I went, and they said they see something, let's biopsy. So they did. March 1st, 2011, doctor said I have good news and bad news. Well, I'm that kind of person, give me the bad news, because the good news better cancel it out. The bad news, she said you have cancer, the good news is stage 0. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? She said, you just have to have a mastectomy, it hasn't spread, and that's it. I was like, okay, I will go ahead and probably get a second opinion, because she wasn't a cancer specialist. Emailed a friend of mine who's a surgeon at Hopkins. She's not a cancer specialist, but I figured she could direct me, she did. And she said, here are the doctors you want to talk to, I'll call you the next day. So she called me the next day, told me how sorry she was that I was going through this. I said, thank you. Anyway, contacted the doctors, and I told them I'm not into drugs and all that kind of stuff. Don't take medications for anything. Don't have anything. So I said, you're going to have to do a full battery of tests before I would agree to do chemo. If it has spread, I'll agree. So by the time they finished, I wound up at stage 2 when they did another biopsy. And the final one, I ended up in stage 4. It had metastasized to my liver. So that's when I was like, okay, I guess I have to do chemotherapy, which I started June 3rd of 2011, certain dates you never forget. Did that. I spent 22 months on chemo. And once the tumor stopped responding, and there was 2 different types of chemo in those 22 months, we did a mastectomy last June 13th of last year. And they said they got everything. So I still go for therapy on just 2 drugs, not chemo. And 3 weeks ago, I had reconstruction. And then 6 weeks ago, prior to that, I tore my meniscus, and that was repaired too. So I'm like repaired. The last 6 weeks, I've gone through some surgeries, but not bad. I'm feeling good. I've had a really good support system with my girlfriends especially, and some male friends, family. And you know, although it's been, I won't say a negative experience, because it definitely has increased my faith. I think I have walked other people through theirs. And I think at the beginning I was angry because I always kept myself healthy. But I think one of the things that really sat with me is God told me this is not happening for you, it's happening for others. And since then I've been able to talk to people, those who have gone through it, those who look at me don't know I'm going through it, and those who kind of knew I had cancer but didn't want to ask. And when I tell them the story, they're like, "You're stage what?" And I'm like, it's all God. That's been my testimony, is all God. And one of the things I really like is where I go to get my hair done. The guy was like, well, I was going to cut my hair off after I came to Jackie. I was like, well, I'm not going to be one of those chemo patients that like to watch their hair fall out. And a friend of mine told me, she said, God told me to tell you, don't cut your hair. And I was like, okay, I won't. And I didn't. And my loctician is what they call him, Sully Watts or Lock Love. I just kept telling him, he said, you know what? I'm going to do your hair for free. As long as you're going through this, he said, I'm doing your hair for free. And he has been doing it for free for the last 3 years. Up until Friday when I had it done. So he has been a real blessing to me. You know, we've gone through, I said, does it look like it's thinning? If it's going to thin, cut it out. But so far it's been good. So I kind of call this my Samson thing. As long as I keep my hair, I'll be good.
So you look amazing. Your hair is amazing. So kudos to him for being so
He's
healing.
A blessing. Really, like I told him, I said, when you bless others, blessings come back to you. And it really has for him.
Good.
It really has. So yeah. And so I said, I in turn have to do that to other people. So yeah.
So during all that you went through, how has God revealed himself to you?
You know, doing all this, and I'm not going to say every day you get up happy or smiling or jumping, you really don't. People that say, oh, I never questioned, and I question God. And I question him hard. I question him because I eat good prior to any of this. I question him because, you know, you're a Christian, you're feeling like, why is this happening to me? But that only lasted for maybe a couple of weeks. Once I was diagnosed with stage 4 is when I really started flipping out, because I'm figuring I'm going to leave my son behind. At that time he was 6, just made 6. And so that's when God said, it's not happening for you, it's happening for others. So I finally calmed down. It really shows you where your faith is. You know, because everybody shouts, gets up in church, talk about how good God is when times are good. When they're bad, most people will turn or just stop talking or stop believing. Really and truly, I said at the beginning I was scared of dying. And that was just because to leave my son. Obviously I'm married, but I figured he's a man, he'll get married again. I worried about my son. And most people, I think if you ask them if they have children and they're married and they're facing this, your first instinct as a mother goes to your child. And my son has really been strong through all this, even though he has had to, you know, understand the whole concept. You know, he's asked me several times, are you going to die? And I was like, you know what? I said, when God's ready, we're all going to die at some time. So he's okay with it. He has been there. I've hidden nothing from him. He has seen the good, the bad, and the very ugly, especially when it comes to surgery, the different things. He's worried when I go to surgery whether I'll come out. But, you know, I just told him, trust God. And that has really increased my faith, because I was like, it made me really start, you know, not just talking the talk, but walking. Because if you say you trust God, then you have to trust God, that he's doing the best for you, even though it doesn't look like it is. So that's how my faith has really increased on that.
Very good. I'm glad your son has, you know, I think he gets it.
He
it's
gets
really
it now.
important
He's
that
much
you
older,
guided
so
him through
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Good. How would you encourage someone that's going through, or someone that went through what you went through, to continue to keep the faith and not lose hope?
Well, one of the things, two of my best girlfriends, their sister was diagnosed last year, right after their mother died. And they were able to call me, and I referred them to the same doctors I used. And her journey, although it has been difficult, it still was easier because I was able to walk her through. I went to the day she got diagnosed, I was sitting there in the doctor's office with her family and her. I was there for all her surgeries. I was there, I just said, I know what it is to go through it. So to walk with them and through this, my thing was keep a positive attitude, which is the best thing you could do. If you go negative, you're not gonna make it, no matter how bad your situation is. And I always remind them, I said, I'm a stage 4, you're a stage 2. It's all in your attitude. And just tell them, to trust God. All these years you're saying you believe Him, now is the time to show where your faith really is. And I said, it's the rubber hits the road kind of scenario.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, rubber hits the road. So are you part of any forums or nonprofit organizations or gatherings of other people that have gone through it?
I'm not, only because I hate the pink hat ladies and all that kind of stuff. And I shouldn't say hate, but I just can't walk around with pink. That's just not, first of all, I don't like the color. Secondly, I just think this is such a small portion of my life, than making it everything. I know some people, once they get diagnosed, that becomes their whole life. No, not so much. I don't hide from it. In fact, in October, I'm going to be doing at my church, I'm doing a women's ministry forum on breast cancer. So me and 4 other ladies that I know, who are basically within the 40 to 50 range, we're doing a forum on breast cancer. And not so much the technical side, but how to just get through it, and also just telling our personal stories. So we're doing that the day before the calendar launch. So we're doing it the Friday, and then the calendar launch on the 25th. And basically my thing is, if people have questions, I've always extended myself to say, if you want to know about it, you can always come ask me. The fact that if I go out and talk about it,
you're that open, because a lot of people want to keep it to themselves. They don't want other people to know.
Right,
so
right.
I'm glad you have that energy about you, because that's really important. My favorite question has to be, how might your raw beauty experience bless or impact other survivors?
As I've met some of the ladies, we've been talking. We met about 2 weeks ago, and then today just sitting around talking. And I think everybody has a different experience, even though they may be dealing with breast cancer. And some people are dealing with more than breast cancer. They have additional issues. But I think it's just a positive energy that everyone seems to have, even those, have survived domestic violence, because we have some with that also. And I think it's just a positive energy that although bad things happen to good people, life still goes on. You deal with it. If life was always easy, then, what do we base anything on? I think you really find out who you are when you go through something this, serious.
Good point. In 2 words, in a complete sentence, what is raw beauty to you?
Raw beauty to me is empowerment and being powerful. Meaning that you take charge. Just because you dealt something doesn't mean you have to, you get knocked down, you don't stay there. You get up, and be powerful about who you are. Cancer doesn't have you, you just happen to have cancer. And I always have said that. So it's something you deal with, but you also deal with so many other things in life. So my thing is, you can't let one thing just take you down, because if you do, you'll stay down. So I think raw beauty is empowering and powerful at the same time.